Good afternoon. I'm Alan Marsden with breaking news from the Action News Now newsroom. The Delta fire has flared up again, a massive flare-up, and it has forced the closure once again of Interstate 5 in both directions. Now, Action News Now reporter Spencer Joseph is there joining us by telephone. Spencer, what can you tell us is going on?
Well, Alan, it's a serious situation. Several firefighters on the ground are fighting this fire by hand right on the freeway, as well as several helicopter drops in the air. Now, this flare-up started about an hour ago. Me and another firefighter were actually just watching it grow, and all of a sudden it just completely took off, moving over several hillsides. The wind in the area has picked up dramatically, and as you probably can tell, closure of Interstate 5 is a big deal, and fire crews are saying they're doing that for safety reasons, not only because of the fire, but because of the smoke as well. California Highway Patrol is on scene making sure that no motorists are trapped in the area, and it is a very serious situation, and we're going to continue to monitor it from the ground.
All right, well, Spencer, let me ask you a question, if you can hear me. You've been covering this fire, obviously, since it broke out 8 days ago. You were up there on Interstate 5, as you just mentioned, as this all happened. Maybe you can compare for people watching right now, and this video we're seeing is file video from earlier coverage of the Delta fire. But Spencer, tell us, for viewers who are wondering, from what you're seeing today compared to what we saw late last week, can you compare it for us?
Yes, I can. In fact, the 100-foot flames that we saw last week have returned today. And that was the biggest thing that struck me again, is that those massive flames, the quick-moving fire, is very reminiscent of the first day or first 2 days of this fire. And, of course, fire crews are taking it as seriously as if it is like those first couple of days, making sure that they have as many crews on the ground in the area. But, yes, Alan, it is quite a bit more serious than it has been, especially the last couple of days, and definitely comparable to the first few days of this fire.
Okay, and you had mentioned that they're trying to make sure everyone is safe, and we've seen all sorts of frightening video from the day that the fire broke out a week ago yesterday, and people who were caught on the freeway and quite terrified, and some vehicles burned. Does it seem like, as far as you know, that motorists are safe right now?
Yes, in fact, I actually spoke with Caltrans a few days ago and CHP just minutes ago, that they had a very good plan in place to where they were going to shut down the freeway very early in a situation like this, and they had very specific plans on where cars were on the interstate, that they were going to be able to get them in a direction pointed away from the fire. So it seems like those plans have worked very well. In the very beginning of this flare-up, there were a few cars still traveling through, but once the flames got anywhere close to the interstate, there were no more motorists or no more trucks on the freeway. So it seems like that plan worked very, very good.
And describe for us where this flare-up is in comparison with, well, any landmark, but in comparison with where the fire actually started last week.
So it's quite a bit further north from where it started last week. At this point, it's about maybe 2 miles north of Gibson Road, just short of Sims Road. That's kind of about maybe 5 to 10 miles away from Pollard Flat, which is where we saw those large flames the first few days. So this is much more on the northern part of the fire, and it is on the eastern side of the freeway. So that's why originally the northbound lanes were closed down, and southbound they were still considering, but at this time the entire freeway has been closed down. So on the eastern side of the northbound lanes of Interstate 5 is where this fire is now burning out of control.
And Spencer, I believe you mentioned you saw, and let's there we go. You had mentioned, I believe you said there were helicopters making water drops. Are you seeing other aerial fixed-wing aircraft doing retardant? What are you seeing as far as the firefight from the sky?
So there aren't a lot of fixed-wing aircraft, but just as I'm sitting here in the vehicle right now, I can actually make out 4 helicopters, and I'm sure there are more making drops around this area. I know that the smoke is very heavy all of a sudden in this area, which could be preventing the fixed-wing aircraft from being able to make drops. Not only that, but this fire is moving through very small canyons, which would be tough for fixed-wing aircraft to be able to get through. But right now there is a heavy helicopter presence in the sky making water drops. And obviously it's right next to the Sacramento River. The Interstate 5 kind of follows the Sacramento River as well. So they do have a good water source very close. So they're able to just kind of drop down into the valley, pick up water, and then drop it on where this fire is flaring up most. So there's not a lot of time between when these helicopters are able to make drops, which is a very good thing. I can see that along the freeway they are making good progress from the air on it.
All right, and so we're working to get a map up on the air again of to remind folks of where this fire is burning. But as you talk about what had been the perimeter of the Delta fire, this is, I assume, this flare-up is south of what had been the northern, or what is the northern perimeter of the fire. It hasn't extended the fire's perimeter farther north. Is that correct?
That is correct. The northern perimeter of this fire and the northernmost point is definitely more on the western edge. This was the area that was burning along the interstate and had been for some days. It definitely was not like this yesterday and the day before. In fact, a lot of the footage that I've shot over the past few days has come from this area, but obviously nothing like this. But this is kind of it's almost the middle of the fire per se, but it was something that has been kind of smoldering and burning for the last few days. But obviously a massive flare-up like this, I don't think many firefighters were expecting this, especially with conditions. It kind of exploded out of nowhere. And now, of course, Interstate 5 is closed in a very serious situation.
And just one more check, and we'll let you go for now, Spencer. But from what you're seeing, you're still seeing the massive walls of flames still up from where you're viewing right now.
Yes, and more white smoke along the freeway. I could, just as we're talking, I can definitely see the helicopters are making a difference just along the interstate. But up into the mountains, there are walls of smoke and definitely flare-ups every minute or so. You could see another tree catch fire, and those massive flames kind of spark out of the top of these ridge lines.
All right, Spencer, we'll let you go now, see if you can get some more information for us. We'll come back to you in just a few minutes. But once again, Interstate 5 has been closed in both directions because of this sudden flare-up of the Delta fire. Please stay tuned. You can watch the ticker at the bottom of your screen for the very latest information. Go to actionnewsnow.com. You can go to our app, and we'll be back as we have more information here on the air. For now, this is an Action News Now special report. I'm Alan Morrison.